I purchased a faulty 1TB Xbox One S for £76, around about $90 to $95. The listing states they have no idea why it doesn't power on and that the warranty seal at the back is in fact broken. This unit did come with the power lead and the controller, hence why £76 I thought was quite a good deal. Let's head over to the desk and start taking it apart. Lovely little Xbox One S. The condition of this isn't actually that bad at all. It's not horrendous. There's a few scratch marks on it. You can probably see a little bit better now. There are over here just some scratch marks. We've got a dirty grill as always though. You can't stop stuff from getting in here. It's impossible. This console was actually opened by me in the recent video how to clean your Xbox One S. So I know the state of the console isn't too bad, and especially inside it's not that dusty considering. So I'm very intrigued to see why this Xbox One S has no power. Just for testing purposes we are going to plug it in so the cable is in securely, and we're also going to try and power the Xbox on, and we get nada, absolutely nothing. So it's going to be really, really interesting to find out what's going on with this console. We've got the main casing off, so what I'm going to do is remove the disk drive, the hard drive, and the power supply. Actually, the fan as well. We're going to take off the whole shabazz. Just to rule this out, I've got another power supply that I'm going to use from a faulty digital edition Xbox One S. This one is completely kaput. I've taken components from this, so I'm just going to take the power supply and plug that in and see if it works. Just to completely rule that out. No, still no power. Still nothing. Okay, good. The reason I'm saying good is because that would be too much of an easy fix. X-clamp tool to the rescue. Bosh, bosh, bosh. The first check we're going to perform is that there's no short to ground on the 12-volt line, which is where the power goes into here. So we're just going to test that now quickly. So I've got the meter in continuity mode, which is a mode it beeps when there is a complete connection. I'm going to put my black probe on ground. On the right, I believe we should have ground. You can see just over in the far corner here where I'm wiggling the probe. So we have ground there, ground there, ground there, ground there. That's fine. If these three are short to ground, it's a 12-volt line. So they're not. So you can't hear a beep here. This essentially means that it's good that there's no short on the 12-volt line, but it makes my job harder trying to locate where the short is, which is ultimately the reason why the Xbox isn't turning on. Now I'm going to do a visual inspection of the board under the microscope, so we'll switch over to that right now. Now we're under the microscope and I'm just looking for signs of something that could not make it work, essentially. These are all of the RAM chips, so these are surrounding the APU. They look fine. I mean, this one has quite a lot of dust that I've just seen around it. I don't know if is that under the chip, which is causing an issue. Let me put it up to the side and see what we've got. Yeah, you can see this side as well is rather dusty. Whether that's like water damage that's then got underneath the RAM, I have no idea. But that doesn't look great to start with. The good news about the board is that it doesn't look touched, so it doesn't look like anyone's actually been in here before. And other than being just a little bit dusty, as you can see on these traces and stuff, like that's all dust, which is around the APU. This is old factory thermal paste, which is, again, a good sign that nobody else has been in here. There's quite thick bits of dust here that don't seem to be coming off when I just run over them with my finger. So that could indicate that we might have had a little bit of water damage on this board. However, it's not likely. So I'm just looking around now. We're going to go down to the power rail and you can see, okay, so what do we have here? All right, this is good, because this is, like, as far as a visual inspection goes, it's good to see that we have some what looks to be liquid damage or a little bit of corrosion. Specifically, I'm looking for anything that I can see on the chips, but I can't see any lumps or bumps or little like explosions. Essentially, I'm just scraping this off to see. We got these caps here. They just look a little bit dusty, or that is definitely some sort of liquid, I believe, some sort of water damage. And then if we go down, we have the same around here as well, and greenish around here. And then we're just looking at the bottom right-hand side corner of the board right now. All these are bridged, but they're okay to be bridged because we're on the same pad. These caps here look a little bit burnt out. So again, maybe a good indication of what's going on. So I'm not going to clean anything. I'm just going to leave it as is. There's those two caps again. Let me check the other caps just to make sure that none of them seem burnt out. None of these alongside the power rail look burnt out. That one maybe on the left there, you see that? And this is where we've got majority of our damage around here. So this around here looks a little bit burnt. Okay, going left. Checking around all these little components. I believe this is like the power management IC. Again, could be wrong. NCP 4206 or 4205, I think that is a 5. This chip could have also gone faulty. We're now back up at the top right-hand corner of the board just to see if there's any components that jump out at us. Nothing that I can see. So I think let's start on the area of the board where we've got some what looks like water damage or just a little bit of corrosion. So I'm going to measure these MOSFETs here, this one and this one. I'm also going to check this fuse as well. The method I'm going to be using this is I've put the meter into diode mode, and we're going to put the red probe on ground, and we're going to use the black probe to read what measurements we're getting on the gates of the MOSFETs. So I'm going to measure here. I believe these ones should be around 0.6. So this is currently measuring 0.6, so that's good. Let's check this big one here. This is also 0.6. I've just flipped the board. 0.6 there, that's perfect. 0.6 there, again, perfect. The gate, by the way, is the pin on its own little single trace. So you see here, and you see how this has a single trace pin as well. So 0.6, 0.6. We're just going to check these MOSFETs up here as well. They should be roughly the same. This is where we have the burnt out capacitors here. Check here, 0.5, that's fine. And here, 0.4, that's also fine. So I was looking with my eye more towards the bottom of the board. This is where the board revision number is, so it's around that area. And I first spotted this little resistor that looks a little bit burnt or something, I don't know. But then as I moved a bit further down, look at this. That to me looks like flux. Whether or not it's like factory flux, I have no idea. So it could be that this little MOSFET here is getting ridiculously hot and therefore pushing out factory flux. These caps also don't look too healthy. Either that or someone's been on this board already and tried to fix it. I mean, again, this little resistor here looks worse for wear, as does, I don't know what this is. It's like an IC. But yeah, I mean, if I scrape it, look, you can see that flux is just coming off. So I actually think someone has been in here, not bothered to replace the thermal paste, and tried to fix it and given up. So I'm going to go back to diode mode. Again, red probe on ground, and then I'm going to use the black probe to read the gate of this. So 0.4, I believe that's right. We're going to check the MOSFET above that as well, just here, and the gate is here. 0.5, so I think these are okay, but I don't know if it just got really hot. I just don't know whether to just switch it out and replace it, but the readings are showing that it's fine. Yeah, 0.5. This specific area of the board is the top left hand side, so this is where the Wi-Fi antenna goes, just here. And again, I mean, look at these capacitors here. They're quite shiny, you know. I don't know if that actually has, oh, does that have a hole in it? Wait there, does that have a hole in it? Or is that just like leftover flux? Yeah, that doesn't look too good. If we then look on this cap here, you can see like an element of solder. See that sticking out there? I've just knocked it off. So maybe, okay, maybe this bit's gone kaput, or someone has definitely been inside this Xbox and tried to fix it already. Do some testing around this area as well. I don't know how much testing I can actually do, but this area kind of looks, if it hasn't been touched by someone else, it looks fried. So I've got the meter in continuity mode again. I'm just going to see if these are perhaps, okay, so that is screwed. Okay, so that's short to ground. I don't know if that's ground side though. Okay, I think it's short to ground on both sides. Oh my god, look at this, it's just fallen off. I think this area of the board has been fried. I think we found the culprit, to be honest. This side is not meant to be grounded. However, I will check on another board quickly. And here we have where it's meant to actually look normal. This is my donor board. So here's that same side. Yeah, so this side is ground. This side? No, this side isn't ground. We definitely have a short around this area. On the side note, what is that on my donor board? I'm going to remove both of these caps and see if the short is still on this pad here, because it shouldn't be. I'm actually going to use a soldering iron here because of this big cap that we've got. I've just put Captain tape around it because I was going to use hot air, but I'm going to go for the soldering iron instead. I'm just going to dump a load of solder on it, load of flux, load of solder, and hopefully just pull it off. I mean, it's been flooded with low melt now, so maybe I can get it off with the hot air station. Just got to be more careful. Moment of truth, do we still get a short to ground on this side? We're not looking for a short to ground on this side. Has that short gone? Yes! So we have a short here, no short here. Okay, wicked, that's really good. Wow, I wonder if that's fixed it. Probably not, but we'll see. We're going to heat up this area now, just apply some low melt solder on the pads, freshen them up a bit, and then I've got two caps I've just pulled from the other board we're going to put on and see what happens. Just grab some fluxations to the nation. It's not the tidiest job, but it's going to do. I just want to see. We don't even know if this is the cause of why it's not turning on. I'm just testing with continuity, just to see and make sure that it's definitely gone. So that side's ground, that's not. Wicked, it's definitely gone. Right, let's give it a test and see if she turns on. We've got light all the way, power brick is in. I've put the front panel in. It's all connected, should be working. Do we get a light? No. Not a flash, nothing. So we've still got no power, unfortunately. I'm going to look back on this area of the board. This is the area where we had the short and I've just done the job. I'm going to have a look around it and see if I can notice anything else, any more shorts, etc. I'm going to replace this cap because I don't think it's good. I mean, it seems to be like, oh yeah, hanging on with bare life. So I'm just going to remove this now. So give me 2 seconds. I've just tested the power now and we still don't get anything. I didn't think that we would need this cap here, to be honest. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference, but it's still not turning on, unfortunately. Okay, so hear me out here. I've put power now into the board and I'm just going to check voltage around the board. I did it before, but it wasn't showing me too much, so I'm going to try it again now. All right, let's have a look. So do we get 12 volts is the first thing. We have a test pad up here, I'm pretty sure. Do we get 12 volts? We do. We get 11.96 on this one up here. That's a 12 volt line. Let's go for the 5 volt, which is where we just were. Okay, so we do get 5 volts. That's good. Okay, so we get 5 volts and 12 volts. We're meant to get 3.3 volts on the one that I'm checking now. Okay, so it might be the 3 volt line, the 3.3 volt line. That's 0.0. So it could be dead short to ground on 3.3. Let's try it. This is 1.1 standby, so I think I should get, I don't know if that means that I should get 1.1 in standby, and I'm in standby now, right? It's coming up as 8.4 millivolts on the 1.1 line. I'll try a different 1.1 as well. I'm getting dead short to ground here on that 1.1. My next idea is I'm going to inject 3 volts into the board on the 3.3 volt test line and see. It's drawing 0.3 amps at the moment, so I'm just going to touch around the board and see what gets hot. I've put some IPA down in certain places just to see if I can see anything evaporating. That's getting hot. Southbridge is getting hot. You can see it evaporates when I put it on. Not ridiculously though. Let me put a drop on. So if I put that on, we'll see how long it takes to evaporate. Still drawing 0.3 amps. Yeah, you can see it's melting from the middle. So is it a Southbridge fault then? If there's a Southbridge fault, can it be no power? That's really annoying. You can see it's coming from the center of the chip as well. Look, if I smudge it again, it's evaporating. So I think we could put this down to a bad Southbridge. That's really annoying. I thought I was gonna have to fix for that. I was so certain of it. Yeah, Southbridge is definitely getting hot. I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to put this one to bed. But it's been a fun one. It wasn't, like, straightforward. And, unfortunately, I wasn't able to fix it in the end. But that's what this channel is all about. By the way, I was using my new Atten hot air station for this. And, wow, like, removing stuff and putting it back was so quick and easy. It was a joke. Make sure you leave in the comment section down below whether you think or not it was the Southbridge that was the issue causing this Xbox One S not being able to turn on. Sorry I wasn't able to fix it. Have a great week/weekend. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.